Welcome back. As we promised, we are going to continue covering together the Egyptian efforts exerted to help the Palestinians regaining their own legitimate rights, and above all nowadays is to remain in their own lands and not to continue with listening even to the provocative proposals or the statements released by the Israeli Occupation Authority regarding the evacuation of Gaza and the displacement of the Palestinian people. To shed more light on this, we are very much delighted to have with us by phone His Excellency Ambassador Ayman, Musharafa, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you very much for being with us, sir, and a very good morning. Hello? 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 Seems that we do have some technical difficulties with our phone, but we are going to try to have Ambassador Ayman Musharafa once again. Well, since day one of the Israeli genocide war, which lasted for more than 15 months and ended with the full destruction of the Gaza Strip and the displacement at least for more than 2 million Palestinians, the residents of Gaza, Egypt is exerting the utmost efforts, whether on the ground or via its diplomatic relations, to try to regain peace and stability in the Middle East. And it was said more than once, not more than once, during those 15 months. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello, good morning.
We are very much delighted to have with us His Excellency Ambassador Ayman Musharafa, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Sir, I was speaking in my intro about the efforts exerted by Egypt to maintain the stability and security of the Middle East, and saying or repeating our stance, renewing our stance that it's only the two-state solution, the guarantee to have permanent peace in the Middle East. And the displacement of the Palestinian people out of their territories is totally rejected, totally unacceptable. Before going into details, how do you see the use of Egyptian diplomatic ties and relations with the big powers all over the world to prevent this catastrophe from happening?
Actually, from the outset of the crisis, since October 7th of October 2023, Egypt didn't spare an effort on the bilateral level, on the multilateral level. The first meeting or the first summit was convened in Cairo, in the administrative capital, to try to find a solution and to find a ceasefire and to find a permanent way to send aid to the humanitarian aid to the Palestinian on their territory. And since that time, Cairo, Doha, Rome, Paris, was different stations that the Egyptian diplomacy have participated actively in it till we reach the first agreement, the first phase of the ceasefire agreement, which worked despite the difficulty and the constant change of the rule of the game by the Israelis. We managed to get this deal through, and still Cairo is deeply committed to find a solution for the Gaza crisis and to find a way to break the deadly blockade over the Palestinians and to rebuild Gaza again. And we have you have tomorrow a summit, a caucus summit in Riyadh, and after that you have the summit in Cairo, the 27th of February in Arab Summit, which will give a conclusive, I think, I hope, message to the international community that Egypt is committed to the red light or the red lines that the President Sisi have expressed, no forced movement of the Palestinians, rebuilding Gaza while the Palestinians are in their territory and to find a way to send permanent and temporary humanitarian aid to the Palestinians in that territory.
Amen to that, sir. But here we are going also to mention the very first visit of Marco Rubio as the American Secretary of State, and his talks with Netanyahu yesterday, and today he is going to be in Saudi Arabia for more talks. But unfortunately, the statements which were released right after Rubio-Netanyahu's meeting were not at all saying that they can go into negotiations for permanent peace in the Middle East. How Egypt can deal with that? Sir, would you please, can you hear me from the phone? I mean, if this is possible, it's going to be great.
I said that our position is very clear, as I said before, concerning our position to the Gaza crisis and our preconditions. No forced movement of the Palestinian, the refusal of forced movement of the Palestinian, which constitutes a crime against humanity and a breach of the Vienna Convention. And we have gathered all the Arab allies and all the international community. We have motivated them against the plans of the Israeli. Well, the Israeli have been, from the beginning of the crisis, giving conflicting statements, giving very detrimental statements about the movement of the Palestinians. They have their own position, and we have our firm and unchanged position. Well, they say what they want to say. But what they say are against the international law, against all kinds of norm of international relations.
Yeah, and to continue with sending convoys of aid, humanitarian aid, medical aid to the Palestinians there, and to make sure that all efforts are exerted to alleviate their sufferings and to give them the full support that Egypt is going all the time to be standing by them, to have their legitimate rights of having their independent Palestinian state with Al-Quds as its capital. How do you see, sir, the continuation of sending aid from Egypt and how we managed the Rafah crossing?
Even from before the beginning of the crisis, the Rafah crossing was the only getaway for the Gaza citizens to go to be treated medically, or all the students or all the travelers, even to perform Hajj and Umrah. It was through the Egyptian Rafah crossing, and all the Egyptian ports and airports and roads were used in this case. And after the crisis, the Rafah crossing played a very important role to give a hope for the Palestinians to send all medical equipment, food and whatever, till the Israeli destroyed the part of the Rafah crossing in the Palestinian territory. And right now, it resumed. I was in the administrative capital yesterday, and I saw a long convoy of humanitarian trucks, which are coming from all Egyptian governorates, NGOs, Egyptian Red Crescent, name it. All the Egyptian people are motivated to help their fellow brothers in Gaza.
Sir, what we are talking about came as Israel received bombs shipment from the United States as Trump lifted the restrictions on such ammunition shipping to Israel, which was imposed by his predecessor, by Biden, and taking into consideration that even the allies of the United States now are not in good terms with what the new administration is doing. I mean, we can listen to Olaf Scholz of Germany, Annalena Baerbock, his foreign minister, Macron of France. I mean, you name it. You are going to find the West against what's taking place on the ground, and particularly when it comes to more bloodshed, or when it comes to the which was made on the two-state solution. How do you see this? Do you think that this international community rejection or condemnation, let's put it this way, is going to change something of the American new administration's policy?
Well, the European Union is playing a very important role in the crisis. Most of the European Union countries have verbally condemned, and you have countries like Spain, Slovenia, Norway, Ireland went forward and even had a more critical stance and reduced their level of representation in Israel to show their disgust of the Israeli behavior, which is against all norm of humanity. The other Europeans, we do hope that they will translate their verbal condemnation to a more active role, like to start to impose sanctions on the Israeli government, which would hurt, because Israel is an important trade partner with the European Union. To pose sanctions against the transfers of technology and other equipment, to have a total halt of any military or dual-use equipment. The European Union can play a very important role. I see the start is good, but we want to have a more concrete pressure on the state of Israel.
Sir, I don't know if this is going to be a little bit irrelevant. Emmanuel Macron asked his European allies to gather and to know how they are going to deal with Trump in the first place in general. Once he was such an ally, but what he is doing on his own, the unilateral actions like speaking to his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin without consulting them on the Russian-Ukrainian war, this is for them something which is a little bit weird, because they were not that much used to have these unilateral actions from the United States. Do you think with what Trump is doing generally is going to continue with provoking the West to make sure that they are going to deal in a different manner with his administration?
That's the modus operandi always of President Trump, to have his own way, his own thoughts, his own way of doing things. Of course, what happened to Ukraine has destroyed 3 years of continuing European support, militarily, logistically, and even Zelensky himself realized that the American position is changing and is trying to cut a separate unilateral deal with the States to sell a part of the assets of his country, to let the American continue their generous support to the Ukrainian military army. I see that the United States is going unilaterally in many, many things, not only in international politics, but in environmental issues, in a trade war is on the formation, and even the Trump administration is threatening to impose more tariffs on some European products.
On Canada, on Mexico, on China, on Europe. Yeah, amen to that.
Trump is not a reliable ally.
And sir, also, even the Ukrainian president Vladimir Zelensky said Europe should have its own army. They should not depend on NATO anymore. Or the United States is back. I mean, it's not anymore this very strong alliance. But sir, returning back to Egypt, I know you kindly mentioned our diplomatic efforts, but I'd like to focus on the levels of the efforts exerted, whether it's on the presidential level or it's on the ministerial level. And here I should mention the talks which took place yesterday when President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received a high-ranking American delegation, and also he received the Jordanian Crown Prince Al-Hussein bin Abdullah al-Thani, in addition to all the meetings which took place on the sidelines of Egypt's participation in the Munich Security Council, for example, where Foreign Minister Badr Abdel Ati held a series of meetings with many of his counterparts and high-ranking officials, despite, of course, discussing bilateral ties. in every and each meeting he mentioned or renewed the Egyptian stance regarding the Palestinian cause. Tell me your vision around all these meetings.
Well, I do see that the Egyptian diplomacy is working on different levels: parliamentary level, presidential level, prime minister level, foreign ministry level, and even NGOs. We have a delegation who visited Washington, and we started having a fair and frank discussion with the congressman, the American Congress, and the American House of Representatives. So we have, in any multilateral or bilateral relation, we are raising this. Lately in the African Union, the African Union statement against, in the conclusive report after the summit, it have condemned Israel severely. And this, the Egyptian diplomacy was behind this very harsh statement. I mean, we are there in every forum to point out that the Palestinian cause is one of the most important, coming on the forefront of the Egyptian priority.
And it's going to remain the top cause or the top file in our foreign relations, not only for Egypt, but for the whole Arab world. But Egypt, of course, is shouldering the biggest responsibility. Well, Ambassador Ayman Musharafa, thank you very much for your input, sir, and have a very good day. Right after the short break, we are going to return back with more, so stay tuned.